All right, guys, I am super duper excited to be going live here in the group. Finally, we were meant to go live this morning, but we had some technical difficulties, so bear with me. So we're gonna just wait a couple more minutes before we start at 9 p.m. GST, Gulf Standard Time. So make sure you are comfortable and get ready for an amazing workshop. All right, we're gonna get started in just a minute. I hope everyone can see the screen. All right, so welcome. Thank you so much for joining me and setting aside some time today to join me. Today I'm going to be discussing SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So I'm super duper excited to be on here today in this private group, the IBS Gut Health Support Group. And if you guys come on live, stay watch till the end, you will get a lovely gift from me. And if anyone is missing this, don't worry, you're going to get a chance to catch the replay. All right, so welcome. Very excited. All right, so before we get started, I want to make sure to share that the only way you'll actually pay attention is if you take any distractions away and you turn off your phone, turn off any distractions in your screen or computer from wherever you're watching this, and just focus, just stay in the moment, be present, and also take some notes because, it's good when we write things down and we really learn in a better way. So let's focus on the moment. All right. So have you been struggling with bloating, with weight gain, with skin issues, and IBS, irritable bowel, or any type of digestive discomfort? If you have, and you've been trying to fix your gut for years and you've gotten nowhere, it could be because you have SIBO. So join me today and find out the risk factors and the signs of SIBO. And I'm going to go into a few things here about my story. So before I get into my story, I wanted to share that this presentation is going to be about 40 minutes. So keep that aside. So I'm going to talk a little bit about me. Who am I? I'm Alessia, and I'm here to tell you that IBS is not a life sentence. Whether you have IBS or you have gut issues, digestive issues, SIBO, any type of gut disorder, it's not a life sentence. So I help busy professionals with IBS and chronic digestive issues, and I help them conquer IBS without having to be on a restrictive diet for life. And I do this actually by taking them through my 6-step IBS freedom method that I used on myself many moons ago. Actually, I struggled with IBS for over 10 years. And I use this method, and it allows my clients to feel more comfortable physically, feel more at ease socially, and less anxious about food. And they can finally thrive in life, in business, and feel confident in their body and life. And as you can see, I transformed my body from the inside out. It started all from the inside, and what you see, the transformation, it changed my appearance. Of course, I reached a healthy weight, and I started to build lean muscle and, basically achieve the body that I've always wanted without having to be on any super restrictive diet. And, I'm a nutrition consultant. I'm a holistic practitioner, and I am also a personal trainer and a wellness coach and a life coach. So I kind of help my clients with many things that aren't just about food, and it's always been my passion to share the wellness message. And IBS being my own journey has now become my career, is to help others beat it, because it is not a life sentence at all. I feel like my superpowers definitely reside with nutrition. I, love food. I've always been a foodie, and having had IBS for 10 years, food was always a source of stress, and I promise you that it does not have to be that way. So just before we get started, I actually wanted to share a loving disclaimer, just to, make sure that we keep things safe here. So before we dive in, I wanted to obviously talk a little bit about how I am not a doctor. Yes, I am a holistic nutritionist. I'm a wellness coach. I do not, however, diagnose or treat medical conditions. Rather, my role is to empower you with the knowledge that you need to take control of your own health. So the following information is for educational purposes only and does not constitute by any means any medical advice. So if you are, suspecting that you may have SIBO or IBS, you need to first see a practitioner, a doctor, a medical MD, and get properly tested, and then you can come back to me and we can take it from there. So you have to inform your primary healthcare provider of any changes that you decide to make with your digestive health. And if you agree that your health is your responsibility, if you believe that it is your responsibility, then you are going to get empowered throughout this workshop. All right, so let's move into, the meat of the presentation here. What is SIBO? What is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth? So SIBO is actually defined as the excessive growth of bacteria in the small intestine, or changes in the bacteria present in the small intestine. And now, like, the human gastrointestinal tract contains a complex ecology of microorganisms. So I'm sure you know that, the gastrointestinal tract, or the GI tract, or the gut, is filled with lots of bacteria. It's filled with a complex ecology of organisms that live in our gut. And the large intestine is teeming with bacteria. It's filled, and that's exactly how it should be. However, now the stomach and the small intestine doesn't contain near as many few microorganisms as the large colon. So you now are looking at an overgrowth of bacteria in the wrong place. So you're looking at small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or the bacteria overgrowth in the small intestine. And as a result, we can have lots and lots of problems. So that is what is going on. Now, what actually causes SIBO? The cause of SIBO is actually not fully understood, and is likely caused by multiple different factors. And that is where we run into confusion. We run into overload of different information from different sources, and we are lost. So let's look at some of the ways, or some of the things that cause SIBO. So a possibility could be a reduction of gastric acid. So your stomach acid is low and it's not breaking down food properly. and causing a lot of issues. And this is something that I see a lot actually, because in a world, especially in the health and wellness space, there's, you know, this notion that we need to be super alkaline. We need to alkalinize our body. We need to eat alkaline foods. We need to drink alkaline alkaline water, you know, and actually this is causing more harm than good. It's actually causing reduction of gastric acid. And if we don't have enough stomach acid, we are potentially bringing in a lot of bacteria, and our bodies cannot fight it. So that's one. And disruption of the migrating motor complex. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. And that simply means poor gut motility. So we're going to look at that as well. A weak ileocecal valve. So that could possibly cause SIBO, immune dysregulation. So we've got some immunity issues that could be associated with autoimmune diseases, and some medication as well. So we are looking at some medications that can cause compromised immune systems, but also compromised gut. So what is the migrating motor complex? So this is one of the bigger reasons that we actually get SIBO. And the migrating motor complex, or MMC, is actually responsible for moving the intestinal contents along the gut. So I wanted to make a special mention here regarding the MMC because it's poor gut motility that is considered one of the primary factors in the actual development of SIBO. So you're looking at poor gut motility. The migrating motor complex is responsible for moving food through our digestion, so in the form of peristalsis, which is the sequential contractions of the digestive tract muscles. That's what pushes the food through the gut all the way into our stomach and through into our colon, and again through the exit route. So if the peristalsis is actually not effective, if it's not working correctly, then the bacteria can be stuck in the small intestine, and it gets swept along, and it doesn't actually move into the large intestine. It stays in the stomach in the wrong location, so leading to an abnormally large population in the wrong place. So that is one of the biggest causes. And it's really important actually to improve gut motility. And I've noticed actually that a lot of people who struggle with diarrhea and constipation, or IBS, and we're going to look at IBS and the connection between SIBO and IBS in a moment, but people who actually struggle with IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, and primarily have issues with gut motility, they are using excessive laxatives, and that is causing poor gut motility. So it's possible that that could be another reason why they might have SIBO. So let's look at some of the risk factors of actually having SIBO, because SIBO is, yes, a gut issue, but it actually affects many things, and it's, you know, risk factors. Like I said, poor gut motility, but also autoimmunity, a weak immune system, chronic stress. So I tackle stress in my programs when I work with my clients, because it's a big part of healing the gut. It's a big part of gut rebuilding. Leaky gut. So if we're looking at some possible leaky gut issues, that could also bring in some issues with SIBO. Food allergies. Lots of my clients come to me with food allergies and sensitivities. Some medications, like I said, some drugs, antibiotics, of course. Antibiotics, prolonged use of antibiotics, even, you know, use of antibiotics as a young child, that can also contribute. Hormone birth control pill, so the pill can also be a factor. Of course, poor diet, and I stress this very heavily, that diet plays a massive role in our health, but not just our health, but also our gut health. Chronic constipation. So this is actually something that I struggled with for many years. I had IBS-C primarily for most of my life, most of my adult life. And chronic constipation, again, is connected to that gut motility and the poor gut motility. Surgeries, so possible surgeries that could possibly lead to an introduction of unwanted guests into the stomach, and also, of course, the elderly. And I also wanted to add here possible food poisoning, and that actually can go back to weak immunity and poor diet, and some issues with autoimmunity and some food allergies, like I said. So we're going to look at some of these in more detail. So the effects are actually a real thing, and SIBO is a real condition. Every week when I have discussions with clients, with potential clients, with friends that struggle with gut issues, who have bloating constantly, no matter what they eat, they wake up bloated. They have digestive discomfort, pain. They have a lot of cramping and symptoms that are controlling their lives. And I was there too. I had all these same symptoms that controlled my life, and it was just impossible to live out my life. I had a very busy lifestyle, and I felt like I was paralyzed for many years. And additionally, you may be experiencing symptoms like rashes, random, symptoms like intolerances to food that you never had intolerances to in the past, or even intolerances to everything that you eat. So your diet has become extremely restrictive. And, constipation, you might have a lot of that. You might have headaches that, just won't go away. And weight gain. Perhaps you're struggling with your weight and you just can't seem to get your weight down, despite, tracking calories, despite exercising till the cows come home. So these symptoms can all be tied to SIBO. And we're going to look at some of the signs of SIBO. So now, when I say signs of SIBO, common signs, I don't say it to say that it's a definitive. So it doesn't mean that just because you have sugar cravings, you have SIBO. But it's possible. So IBS is the first one, and I work with women who have IBS all the time, and this is my specialty. Irritable bowel syndrome, whether it's constipation, diarrhea, changes in your bowel movements, bloating, gas, pain, constant, gut discomfort. That is my area of expertise. And we're going to look at the connection, because many people who have IBS actually have SIBO. And IBS is actually it's a diagnosis of exclusion. So it's actually not a real disease in itself. It's a syndrome. It's a symptom of something underlying. So it could be a food sensitivity. It could be an allergy. It could be a past, like I said before, when I mentioned that perhaps you had food poisoning, it could be a result of that. IBS is not a disease, it's a symptom, okay? Guys, I really want to talk about how lots of people think that it's a life sentence, but it isn't. It's totally fine to, feel frustrated, but you have to believe that it's not the end, okay? When you've gotten diagnosed with IBS, that is not the end, it's the beginning of healing, because now you know what you're doing and now you know what's wrong with you. But lots of people who have IBS, or who have been diagnosed by their doctor with IBS, because first they exclude cancer, they exclude colon cancer, they exclude diverticula, they exclude Crohn's, all the more very precarious or very serious diseases first. And then they say, okay, well, you have irritable bowel syndrome. Now, you may not actually have IBS, you may have SIBO. All right, so that's what we're going to talk about today. So if you have gas, bloating, constipation, discomfort in any way, strange stools. So perhaps you're looking at, strange habits, maybe very soft stools, very strange color, very oily stools, just very strange bowel habits, very unpredictable bowel movements. Indigestion. So if you struggle with a lot of indigestion, GERD, gastric reflux, all of that. Seasonal allergies. If you're one of those people that perhaps has a lot of seasonal allergies, you want to may look at, and if they don't ever go away, this is not a way to live, guys. Most people who struggle with these things, they believe that this is their normal. It's not your normal, okay? It's not normal to have seasonal allergies. It's not normal to have mood swings, sugar cravings. So a lot of my clients actually are addicted to carbs and sugar because they have an overgrowth of bacteria. It could be candida, which is something entirely different. But you also might have candida and SIBO at the same time. So sugar cravings are one of those very problematic issues that could mean you might have SIBO. B12 deficiency. So if you're a vegan, you're not absorbing, and I can talk about this because I was a vegan for over 3 years. And although it helped me at the very beginning with my IBS, it did not help me in the long run. And I had to go back to eating animal foods. And B12 deficiency is a big problem with a lot of vegans. Even if you supplement, you cannot always absorb it very well. So you don't have that intrinsic factor. So perhaps you might have a B12 deficiency, and this can cause a lot of autoimmune issues, frequent infections, brain fog, and even skin issues. All of these things can actually mean that you might have SIBO. So there's actually 2 types of SIBO, and we're going to look at which one you might have. So the first one is actually called hydrogen predominant SIBO. And hydrogen predominant SIBO is caused by bacterial overgrowth in the small intestine. It's bacteria producing hydrogen or hydrogen gas as a byproduct. And the small intestine is a very sensitive place for hydrogen. It's very sensitive to hydrogen. So as a result, individuals with hydrogen predominant SIBO have symptoms of mostly abdominal pain and bloating and other gut issues and other digestive issues. Now, methane predominant SIBO, this is actually a little bit different. So the organisms that produce methane aren't bacteria at all. They are called archaea, and archaea feed on hydrogen and produce methane gas as a byproduct of their own. So this means that if you have methane SIBO, you most likely have an overgrowth of both bacteria and archaea. So you might have both overgrowth of bacteria and an overgrowth of archaea. So you're getting a lot of bacteria there. So how do you actually know that you have SIBO? So SIBO actually can cause many digestive symptoms, like we talked about, that are similar to IBS. All right. So we talked about it. In fact, many cases, like I said, of IBS may be due to SIBO. So once you get to the root of the IBS, and that's what I do with my clients, then you can actually decide, okay, well, if it's not IBS, it's SIBO, let me fix the SIBO. And then once the SIBO's gone, so is the IBS. So methane predominant SIBO, also referred to SIBO-C, causes constipation. All right. So when I had irritable bowel syndrome, I was not positive with SIBO. But those who are positive SIBO and they do suffer with constipation, then you know that you might have SIBO-C. Hydrogen predominant SIBO or SIBO-D causes diarrhea. So this is actually very similar to IBS-C and IBS-D. So if you do suffer with IBS, C or D, then you need to look at which predominant type SIBO you are. Are you methane or hydrogen? Now, both types commonly cause abdominal pain, bloating, fatigue, and weakness. So they have very similar symptoms. And if it's severe enough, SIBO can actually cause malabsorption of nutrients and maldigestion. So those who have SIBO and they've struggled with SIBO long enough, they're starting to have issues with absorbing nutrients properly, and that causes another whole host of other issues. So let's look at now SIBO testing. Now, this is something that, like I said, it's really important to really speak to your doctor about this. And that's why I'm doing this workshop, because I want to educate you and I want to make sure that you know what to talk about when you go to see your doctor. So you are leading the consultation and not your doctor. I do this with my private clients in my IBS Freedom program, that we work through how to actually speak to your doctor, what questions to ask, so I see so many people time and time again, clients that come to me, even my own friends, and I also experience this, where you go and see a doctor and you go in for 5 minutes, you can't even speak to them enough about what's going on because they're talking over you, they're leading the consultation, but you're not armed with the right knowledge. So you don't know which tests to do. And this is really the most important part. So there are types of tests that you can do. So the first one is a SIBO breath test, and the diagnosis of SIBO is controversial. So there is substantial disagreement regarding which test is the most appropriate in either the clinical or research setting. So we already are still quite behind. 2 tests, though, are commonly employed, and that's the bacterial culture and breath test. Now, you can ask your healthcare provider for a SIBO test, and if you rather test in the privacy of your own home, you can actually get some home kits. Now, these, again, you have to take it with a grain of salt, which means that you can do the test, you can see the results, and then, of course, bring the results to your doctor and decide whether you need to dive deeper and, look for any other signs. Just make sure that you're involving your doctor in this process, because you could be self-diagnosing yourself without actually going anywhere. So I've given you here a link to a place online where you can actually get some more information on that. It's metsol.com/hydrogen breath test. So you can check that out. So let's look at some of the SIBO health risks. So, having SIBO or even IBS or both at the same time, it can lead to some serious consequences. It could mean where you don't have enough nutrients. This leads our body to begin to steer away from homeostasis and causes some serious consequences because we're not getting the nutrients we need from our food. SIBO often causes a chronic low-grade inflammatory response because the excessive population of microorganisms actually damages that intestinal mucosa. So in the body, when we've got this foreign bacteria sitting where it shouldn't be, our body will respond in an immune response, and that can actually stay chronic and eventually lead to autoimmunity. Chronic inflammation can also have numerous consequences on the body. It increases the risk of most chronic diseases, but it also disrupts hormones. So there's a huge link between SIBO and hormonal imbalance and hormonal imbalances with SIBO and gut issues. Like I said, malabsorption, nutrient deficiencies. So if you're not absorbing B12 properly, your B vitamins, and a lot of other, important vitamins like magnesium and minerals, like zinc, this can lead to lots of issues that, may not be related to the gut, but actually causes lots of issue in the body. And there is 100% correlation between SIBO and rosacea. So this is something that's very interesting to me. Being an ex-beauty therapist, I used to, encounter lots of people with rosacea that just did not know how to treat it, and using lots of different over-the-counter medications and over-the-counter skincare products. So if you struggle with some skin issues like rosacea, acne, look into your gut and look into possible SIBO infection. In the words of Hippocrates, all disease begins in the gut. Honestly, this is why I, got into specializing in digestive issues, because it really is true. So I wanted to just touch on a little bit about SIBO and hormones. So if you're struggling with SIBO, but also a lot of hormonal issues, then I wanted to talk about this just for a moment. So the gut hormone connection, the SIBO and hormone connection disrupts the balance of hormones. Our gut bacteria are closely tied with hormonal imbalance. And when we don't have enough of the necessary nutrients, our bodies cannot metabolize or produce hormones effectively. And this can have a significant effect on the female sex hormones, estrogen and progesterone. So I'm actually going to share a little bit about that in my free bonus that I'm sharing with you later on how you can increase some of those nutrients that you really need for healthy hormone balance. So that is really important. We need to really focus on not just the gut aspect, but also the hormonal aspect as well. And now we're going to look at SIBO and IBS. SIBO and IBS connection, we've already touched on it, so I just wanted to kind of reiterate that research now suggests that SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, may be responsible for actually up to 78% of IBS cases, and that's a huge percentage. Although SIBO is seen more often in patients with IBS-D or diarrhea, SIBO may be seen as well with patients with IBS-C constipation dominant. So if you are diagnosed with SIBO, it means that your doctor has likely identified the cause of your IBS symptoms. With successful treatment, you should experience relief from many of those symptoms. So once you get to the root of SIBO, you can finally start eradicating those IBS symptoms. And get rid of that irritable bowel. And SIBO can also, like we talked about, lead to deficiencies in nutrients that are needed by the body to heal. And so if you struggle with things like fatigue, your gut is not absorbing nutrients properly, and that is due to the SIBO present. So let's look at the SIBO treatment. Like, what can we do if we might have SIBO? What can we do if we do have this overgrowth? So let's look at some treatment options. Now, again, I will just reiterate here that this is by no means a treatment that I am prescribing for you. I do not know your case. I do not know if you even have SIBO. And so it's really important that you first check with your doctor to actually get properly tested. But the conventional treatment is antibiotic therapy. So certain antibiotics have shown to reduce or eliminate this bacterial overload. So the mucosal inflammation that is associated with the overgrowth and malabsorption is reduced with some of these antibiotics. Now, like I said, because I'm not a medical doctor, I have to really share some well-respected peer-reviewed medical journals that I've listed here. If you would like the reference, I will make it available after this presentation that you can go directly and do some research for yourself. Now, like I said, it's standard treatment to use antibiotics. So if SIBO is suspected, some medical professionals recommend SIBO treatment without testing. And this is concerning because due to the cost of some of these antibiotics that can run up to, $1,500 per round, the potential for complications and the need for reoccurring treatment is very high. So please, please, please make sure that you get tested first. Very, very key here. There really is no point in taking a round of antibiotics if you don't even know what you're taking them for, and if you even have SIBO. So some antibiotics have shown to reduce or eliminate the bacterial overload, like I said, and they help. So make sure to consult your doctor for that. One trial that I looked at here demonstrated an average duration of symptom improvement only after 22 days, which translates into a need for at least 12 courses, which are 7 days long. So that's 12 courses of antibiotics. That is a lot of antibiotics, but that actually helps to get rid of the infection, and it provides that symptom relief. Now, SIBO recurs in almost half of patients with 1 year of treatment with antibiotics. So that is unfortunate. So it does come back in a lot of patients. So we need to look at some other ways that we can support the body, not just through antibiotic treatment. And we're going to look at also herbal treatments, herbal antibiotics. So there are also some herbal antibiotic treatments that you can actually try. One study shows that herbal therapies are at least as effective as one of the antibiotics called rifaximin for the resolution of SIBO. Now, herbals also appear to be as effective as triple antibiotic therapy for SIBO rescue. And for anyone who doesn't respond to rifaximin, they can look into something more herbal, and prospective studies also are needed to validate this. So I'm sharing this with you, but there still needs to be a lot more studies to show that these actually work. Now, here's what they used in the study. So this is quite interesting. The study participants were given one of the following herbal protocols. So these were some of the protocols that were given. So option 1 was 2 capsules twice daily of this disiboside and FC-Cidal. So these are some of the herbal antibiotics. And that was option 1. And option 2, there was Candibactin AR and Candibactin BR. And those were from Metagenetics. And the cost was actually $130 per month or less. So these were a little more affordable than the actual antibiotic treatment that wasn't herbal. So this is very interesting to me, and I thought I wanted to share it with you guys. And again, if you need the reference, I am happy to share that with you. So let's look at quickly probiotics, because probiotics has been shown to help with IBS, with gut issues, leaky gut. However, when it comes to SIBO, we need to be more aware of the effects of probiotics. So probiotics are, of course, good bacteria that we want to repopulate the gut, especially after, a round of antibiotics. And if you are on an antibiotic treatment for SIBO, you need probiotics to balance that out. However, probiotics have shown in studies to have those positive effects for SIBO. However, some people actually, worsen, their symptoms worsen and provoke more SIBO, because again, remember, there's a lot of bacteria. So we don't want to add to that bacteria. So for this reason, many experts suggest soil-based probiotics such as Megaspora Biotic. It's a very big word. Prescriptive Assist also has a SIBO-friendly probiotic. So look into those and have a look. According to one study, the Bacillus clausii strain has shown effective in treating SIBO. So you need to know which strain, and this is why when I work with clients, I don't just prescribe I don't prescribe anything, but I don't suggest any treatment when it comes to probiotics. I need to know exactly what they have. So first my clients see their doctor, and then they come to me, and then we work together to improve their diet, stress levels, and this is really, really important. Okay, so we have to look at which strain you need, so you are treating the root cause, and you're not just flooding your body with random bacteria. So that's something that I wanted to touch on, and also I wanted to kind of just share with you guys that you need to start off very slow with probiotics when it comes to SIBO, and you also need to look at eliminating fermented foods and bone broth. All of those things are not actually very good for SIBO. And a quick thing about SIBO diet. So looking at the SIBO diet here, there's lots of options. There is not one specific dietary approach for SIBO. The SCD, specific carbohydrate diet, the GAPS diet, gut and psychology syndrome, SIBO specific, and even low FODMAP and elimination. There are so many ways that you can do this, but not one particular one is going to be the be-all end-all dietary guideline for everybody. However, studies has shown that carb restrictive diets may lead to gut dysbiosis in the long run. However, recently there has been a lot of anecdotal evidences suggesting that a keto carnivore dietary approach eliminates SIBO and can work as an effective IBS protocol in some patients. You can look at some references such as Dr. Paul Saladino and Ken Berry. Dr. Ken Berry, they are keto carnivore experts, and yes, it's very controversial, but it's an option that you might want to look into. It is literally the most talked about diet at the moment. I'm not one for dietary fads, but it's something that could be an option, especially if you've tried everything. Now, while dietary and lifestyle modifications are essential, it's not the only way. So diet is not the only way to fix SIBO. SIBO requires treatment with the right pharmaceutical or natural antibiotics and the right probiotics. It needs treatment, not just dietary changes. So this is super important, and you need to keep that in mind. So we need to, address that underlying root cause, nutritional weaknesses, address and rebuild our health and gut with nutritious foods. So I wanted to thank you all for sharing, my time here with you, and I wanted to offer some help. Now, I wanted to offer here some support. So if you've tried different diets, supplements, pills, potions, expensive and inconclusive lab testing, wasting thousands of dollars on functional medicine practitioners and even dietitians, yet you haven't seen any results yet, you're now left to finding your own path to conquering IBS or gut issues, SIBO, and figuring out your own gut health. There are many excuses that can actually stop you short of your goals. And I only think there's only 4 main things that stop most of my clients or my potential clients. The first one is distraction. So if you're interested and started the process, but you just get busy doing something else, your gut health is not a priority, then that could be one thing that's holding you back from healing. The second one is procrastination. Now, I know because I used to do the same thing. You should take steps to get your IBS and your gut health under control, but you'll do it later when you have more time. So, I meet clients all the time that say, oh, but I have this going on and that going on, and I have to go on this vacation, and I have to travel for work, and I, have have to pay for this and that. It's procrastinating, it's putting it off, and it's not doing you any good. It's keeping you stuck. Now, number 3 is mindset. So perhaps you don't think that you can actually get rid of your issues, and you think that IBS and gut health issues are a life sentence. So why bother even trying? So mindset is the biggest thing I believe holding most of my clients back, and I address this in my programs. Is it solution exhaustion? So finally, looking at solution exhaustion. You know, you've tried so many things before and nothing helped. And I get that. I understand. I was there, you know, I felt the same way for many years. I didn't know who to turn to. Nothing helped. So why bother even trying something new? And finally, of course, money. So if you're lapping up all the free tips, so you're, you know, Googling everything and trying hashtag all the things, but you don't want to find the investment in a real proven method and solution, then you're probably looking at being stuck and staying stuck. Because, you know, looking for free advice is great, but then, you know, where is that free advice going to take you? I promise you, not very far. So I really strongly suggest that you take a look at getting some support. So stop stressing, stop feeling embarrassed in social situations, stop fearing food and your next meal, stop feeling frustrated, and work with me. Okay, I help clients in different capacities with different budgets, identifying trigger foods, making sustainable lifestyle changes, choosing what protocol fits your unique needs and lifestyle, helping you navigate the myriad of supplements and protocols, and choose one that actually is right for you. And of course, focusing on whole foods so you're not living on a restrictive low FODMAP diet forever. And I help you navigate through all of this information so you can get rid of it once and for all. So I wanted to invite you to a free end IBS struggle session with me, and this is something that I only open up to a limited number of people. So at the moment you are invited to join me, and I'm going to post the link in the comment section of this video. So all you need to do is just click on the comments. You will find the link to book your strategy session with me. So in this session we will look at what you're doing now, what's working and what's not working, and what you can do for next steps. It's a free consult, no obligation. I'm going to share with you some step-by-step processes that you can take immediately to feel better. Okay. Now, like I said, this is very limited. I have a limited number of spots reserved this month. So if this is something that you're interested in, I encourage you to sign up for this free session. And I'm going to post the link at the end of this video in my comments. Okay, so you may have had trouble making changes in the past, and I want to show you that this time it can be different, especially if you have someone to encourage you, support you, and show you what to do step by step. Okay, I don't want anything to get in your way. Okay, I just want to help you, and I want you to believe that it's not a life sentence. Now, the cool thing is that for all of you who show up live, you will get a free bonus. So all you need to do is drop a yes in the comments below, in the comments of this video. Drop a yes and you will receive your free bonus gift, which is the SIBO workshop, self-quiz, and SIBO dietary needs. It's a list of all the nutrients that you need in your food and your diet to support your gut if you have SIBO. And also self-quiz. This is by no means a only, way to diagnose your SIBO, but it's a way to perhaps discover whether you might have SIBO or not, okay? So drop a yes in the comments if you'd like this free bonus, and I will send it your way. And remember, if you want to book a free end IBS struggle session with me and get rid of your SIBO, or potentially get rid of your IBS, or even just rebuild your gut and stop feeling bloated, stop feeling afraid of food, and fix your gut now, then all you need to do is go to the link in the comments that I'm going to be posting in a moment. All right. So thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart for joining me. I'm going to be doing lots more of these classes in the group. Invite your friends who you believe may help that this group may help them if they struggle with gut issues, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, or SIBO. So let's all heal. Let's thrive. Okay, it's not a life sentence, and I promise you that you're on the way to healing. Okay, so thank you all again for joining me tonight. And if you couldn't make it, don't worry, I'll be sending you the replay for this workshop. All right, guys. I hope you guys have an amazing evening, and I will see you soon. Bye.